Programming and Mobile App Development program at South Mountain Community College is a 36 credit certificate of completion, or we abbreviate that as CCL, and it does contain some smaller stackable certificates, which at the moment are planning to be reworked. If you add in the 25 Gen Ed, general education requirements, such as your math and your English and your sciences, you can get an Associates of Applied Science, or AAS, degree. Let's look at some of the details of this program. So both the CCL and the AAS have what are called program prerequisites, some things you should know coming into the program. And we require you to take CIS 105, our Survey of Computer Information Systems. However, if you're computer literate and you know Microsoft Office pretty well, you understand how computers work, you know the terminology of the industry, we will give you permission to enter directly into the core of the program and bypass that CS 105 class. I also recommend that you have some graphic skills, that you know Adobe Photoshop, which is the industry standard. This is not a prereq at the moment for our program, but I think it's an important skill to have, that you understand how to work with Adobe Photoshop, because everything is so visual these days. So it's simply a recommendation. It's not a prereq at this point. The core of the Programming and Mobile App Development consists of 4 tracks. We're moving to teach these all as cohorts, that you would take a 9-credit track in one semester. Each of the tracks stand alone. You can take these tracks in any order. However, if you want to join this program, I would love to have a conversation with you coming in about your background, your previous programming skills, if you have any, and what your career goals are. And we might find that a particular order might be better suited for your background and for your career goals. One of the 4 tracks is the web app development track. These are the same skills that one would use in creating a website. However, today a lot of apps are being created with those skills that reside in the cloud on the internet that people can access via the browser on their phone. So we teach you internet web development, which is using HTML and CSS. Those are 2 markup languages for creating content and formatting it. Get into a little bit of programming with JavaScripting. And JavaScript allows our web apps to do something, to perform some task. And then we have an advanced HTML, CSS course. So those 3 combined make up the web app development track. It's 9 credits. We have a Microsoft C# Xamarin development track. And here we're going to start you out learning Windows programming using C# and Visual Studio. And then from there, we're going to branch out into teaching you Xamarin, which is a cross-platform product put out by Microsoft, actually bought by Microsoft. And here you're going to learn how to use your C# skills with Visual Studio to create content for Android and iOS devices. And then we have an advanced C# class. We get much more heavily into object-oriented programming, using C# and getting into some ASP.NET, which is active server pages, doing some server-side scripting, and learning about data structures and adding in database backends. We have an iPhone, iPad app development, or iOS app development track. We're going to teach you how to use Swift, which is the language developed by Apple for iPhones and iPads. And then we're going to get into beginning iOS app development, how to lay out the interface for an iPhone and iPad, make it look good on all devices. And we get into some advanced iOS app development, covering more advanced design and coding principles. And then finally we have Java and Android. So how do we create native apps for the Android devices? So here you're going to learn Java, you're going to learn Android app development, much like the iOS app development, laying out the screens, doing some data backends, and then an advanced Java class, which will tie those 2 together. So 4 tracks, each one 9 credits, 36 credits. This, in totality, will give you a CCL in Programming and Mobile App Development. If you add in your Gen Eds, which are going to be your English classes, critical reading, a math class, 121 or higher, and then take a communications class, an humanities and fine arts course, a social or behavioral science course, and a natural science course. Those will get you an associate's degree, which will transfer to a 4-year institution. So one of the things we're doing at South Mountain is moving this program into a fast-track cohort approach. Let's take the iOS track. So traditionally, we would teach that course over 3 semesters. You would take Swift Programming Fundamentals. The next semester, you would take Beginning iOS. The next semester, you would take Advanced iOS. Each one of these would be 16-week courses traditionally, which means it's basically with the summer break, it's going to take you 16 months to get through this track. And one of the challenges is somewhere in here is a summer where this course may not be offered, so you're going to have a 4-month break in between 2 of these courses, in which you tend to forget a fair amount of stuff. So some colleges will teach this in 1 year, and the first course will be 16 weeks, probably offered in the fall, and the second 2 courses in the spring would be each 8 weeks long, but they're still sequential. Our approach at South Mountain is to do a fast-track cohort in which we teach all 3 courses together in 1 semester. Now, it's not so much that these are offered as 5-week, 5-week, and 5-week courses back to back to back. What we have done at South Mountain is to offer these as a integrated learning environment, what we call a SMILE, South Mountain Integrated Learning Environment. We take these 3 courses and we combine them together in such a way that they all start the same day, they all end the same day officially, and while the bulk of the information the first 5 weeks is going to be the CS 150 AB course, we will pull in some information from CS 165 and maybe even a little bit from CS 265 in those first 5 weeks. So the content is being interwoven to give you a much better learning experience and to make the competencies of these 3 courses flow a little bit better together. By the time we get down to the end of the semester, we're going to focus on the CS 265, but we're still going to bring in some things maybe from the first course and the second course in those last 5 weeks. So this is cohort learning. You're going through multiple courses together with the same group of students, and research shows that that is an excellent way to learn. You're building, you're networking with other students, building relationships, and you're more likely to succeed. You might develop a study group with other students as part of this course because you are spending a lot of time together. Linguists say the best way to learn a language is immersion. You want to learn conversational French, so you go to Paris for 4 months. And in the course of living in Paris for 4 months, you're going to pick up conversational French pretty well. It's that immersion effect. I think the same applies to learning a language. Rather than spreading out that learning over a year and a half or a year, let's really focus on learning 1 language at a time, learning 1 environment at a time, learning 1 development platform at a time at a much deeper level. So this approach gives us more cohesion to the content of these 3 courses combined. It allows you to have a singular focus on 1 language at a time. If we look at our 4 different tracks, in order to complete these in a timely manner, traditionally, you'd probably be taking 2 or maybe even 3 languages simultaneously in the same semester. That can get a little confusing, I think. If you were a foreign language student, how would you like to come to campus and be told, okay, so your first semester, you're going to be learning introductory Spanish, introductory French, and introductory Russian? That could be really confusing and really challenging. So by taking this approach where we're going to focus on 1 track at a time, or if you're really ambitious and you want to carry 18 credits, you could take 2 tracks at a time. I believe it will be far less confusing for you with this in-depth approach to each language and each platform. The other thing, as I mentioned earlier, when you're taking these traditional courses, somewhere in here there's probably a 4-month break. So let's say you take the CS 150AB in the fall, beginning iOS in the spring, and then there's a summer break here, and you come back in the fall and you take CS 265, and in that 4-month break, most students tend to forget some of this information in CS 165. And so as an instructor, I would spend a couple weeks just reviewing that previous content. This model removes that. And so I gain a little extra time. We can go a little bit deeper, a little bit slower, or even introduce a few more things that I think are important that may not be part of our competencies that have been decided at the district level. So it allows me to introduce more content. What else I like to do is bring in some soft skill training into the tracks so that we're helping you prepare to go out and interview for a job. And the nice thing is, if you just want to come to campus and learn iOS development or Java development or C# Xamarin development, you can do that in one semester. It's a faster time to the skills that people need to go find a job. And yes, it's possible to find an entry-level job or an internship after having completed one track, though we highly recommend you complete the entire CCL or AAS. What do we do to help you succeed? Well, research does show this cohort learning does enhance student success, that you're more likely to do well in the course where you're studying with a group of students, building relationship, and you're going at a deeper level. Research also shows that an immersive approach to learning a foreign language is the best way to learn a foreign language. And I argue that includes coding, that includes programming. We're learning a language. And the deeper we can go in that, the better you will learn it. I like to give real-world assignments, practical assignments of things that you might encounter in the real world. We keep them fairly simple. In the real world, you may be on a project that's going to last months and months. Here, our projects really only last a week or two. Sometimes the projects build on each other. So we're going to do some skills, and then in one project, and then the next project, we're going to build on those skills and enhance the product that we're creating. I like to do a visual GUI approach from the very start. GUI stands for Graphical User Interface. A lot of programming instructors focus on teaching the language, and they do that in a command line environment. But I have found that students want to create visual programs. They want to create Windows programs. They want to create apps on their phone that look nice and include graphics, include user controls. And so we start there from the very beginning. As a full-time instructor, I do maintain office hours each week, and I encourage my students to come to those office hours if you need a little bit of extra help or you have questions. I provide weekly checklists to help you stay on track each week of what the tasks are that you need to complete, whether that's reading assignments, videos to watch, or project assignments to complete for grades. So in the C# and Xamarin and iOS tracks, which I teach, I've created a lot of instructor videos, putting my content online, and I've done what we call flipping the classroom. I have you watch the videos for the content outside of class, and then come to class and let's apply that learning in more of a sandbox environment. Let's actually get our hands dirty and make everything hands-on in the classroom. And sometimes that's me demonstrating and having you follow along in creating a project, show you the way I would create a project, or having you work in teams or individually to create some assignments in class. And then finally, I like to incorporate the expertise of others. So I will have you watch videos from other people, some well-known people in this industry. I also like to bring in maybe some expertise of others into the classroom, particularly in the area of soft skills. And then finally, we're trying to build our program to have more internships, more paid training programs, and provide you opportunities to land that entry-level job or do some freelancing. Completing either the CCL or AAS will also help you land that entry-level job, but the AAS can also be transferred to a 4-year program. So I hope you'll come join us at South Mountain Community College and enroll in the Programming and Mobile App Development program.